Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Mahāraja's message is your advantage. The following is a Sri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya book compilation given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Mahārāja on April 4th, 2021 in Sri Mayapur, India.
Pangulang hayate girim jatkipa tamhang bande Sri Guru Dinotarinam Rāmānanda Madhavam Sri Caitanya Ishwaram.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hare Krishna. Today we will continue with the compilation of the Sri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya book. Today's chapter is entitled as Rāmānanda Rāya to Bring the King's Son. Caitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 12.39.
পুরীতে আসিয়া প্রভু সঙ্গলার্থে রায়ের অবসর গ্রহণ জন্য রাজা অনুমতি প্রাপ্তি। রামানন্দ রায় যাবে দক্ষিণ হইতে আইলা প্রভু সঙ্গে রহিতে রাজাকে নিবেদিলা।
After returning from his service in South India, Rāmānanda Rāya requested the king to allow him to remain with Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Caitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 12.40.
রায়কে প্রভুর দর্শন লাভার্থে রাজার অনুরোধ। তবে রাজা সন্তোষে তাহারে আজ্ঞা দিলা আপনি মিলন লাগি কহিতে লাগিলা।
When Rāmānanda Rāya requested the king to allow him to stay with the Lord, the king immediately gave him permission with great satisfaction. As for the king himself, he began to solicit Rāmānanda Rāya to make a meeting arrangement.
The king Mahārāja, he was always anxious to meet Lord Caitanya.
So King Prataprudra, he was always anxious to see Lord Caitanya,
To meet him.
And
I took this opportunity to also ask Rāmānanda Rāya in this regard.
So he is using this opportunity to also ask Rāmānanda Rāya in this regard.
Actually, Lord Caitanya had shown great mercy on the king.
Actually, Lord Caitanya has shown great mercy on the king
By not seeing him. So that the desire of the king to meet Lord Caitanya increased more and more.
So that the desire of the king to meet Lord Caitanya increased more and more.
We should be so fortunate that our desire to be part of Lord Caitanya's pastime.
So we should be fortunate that our desire to be part of Lord Caitanya's pastime
should increase more and more like King Prataprudra.
should increase more and more like King Prataprudra.
চৈতন্য চরিতামৃত মধ্যলীলা 12:41। মহাপ্রভু মহাকৃপা করেন তোমারে মোরে মিলিবারে অবশ্য সাধিবে তাহারে।
The king told Rāmānanda Rāya, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful to you. Therefore, please solicit my meeting with him without fail. Caitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 12.42.
রাজা সহ কটক হইতে পুরীতে আসিয়ায় রায়ের প্রভু দর্শন। একসঙ্গে দুইজন ক্ষেত্রে যাবে আইলা রামানন্দ রায় তবে প্রভুরে মিলিলা।
the king and Rāmānanda Rāya returned together to Jagannath Kshetra, Puri, and Sri Rāmānanda Rāya met Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 12.43.
প্রভু সমীপে রাজার জন্য আবেদন। প্রভু পদে প্রেম ভক্তি জানাইল রাজার, প্রসঙ্গ পাইয়া হইছে কহে বারবার।
At that time, Rāmānanda Rāya informed Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu about the ecstatic love of the king. Indeed, as soon as there was some opportunity, he repeatedly informed the Lord about the king. Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 12.44.
ব্যবহার চতুর শ্রী রামানন্দ। রাজমন্ত্রী রামানন্দ ব্যবহারে নিপুণ, রাজপ্রীতি কহি দ্রবাইল প্রভুর মন।
Sri Rāmānanda Rāya was indeed a diplomatic minister for the king. His general behavior was very expert, and simply by describing the king's love for Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he gradually softened the Lord's mind. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A diplomat in the material world knows how to deal with people, especially in political affairs. Some of the great devotees of the Lord, like Rāmānanda Rāya, Raghunath Das Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Rupa Goswami, were government officers and had a background of very opulent householder life. Consequently, they knew how to deal with people. In many instances, we have seen the diplomacy of Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and Rāmānanda Rāya, employed in the service of the Lord. When Raghunath Das Goswami's father and uncle were to be arrested by the government officials, Raghunath Das Goswami hid them and personally met with the government officers and settled the affair diplomatically. This is but one instance. Similarly, Sanatan Goswami, after resigning his ministership, was thrown in jail, and he bribed the attendant of the jail so he could leave the clutches of the Nawab and live with Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Now we see Rāmānanda Rāya, a most confidential devotee of the Lord, diplomatically soften the heart of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, despite the fact that the Lord definitely decided not to meet the king. The diplomacy of Rāmānanda Rāya and entreaties of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and all other great devotees succeeded. The conclusion is that diplomacy used in the service of the Lord is a form of devotional service.
So
here,
use of various diplomacy was able to gradually soften the mind of Lord Chaitanya.
So here the use of various diplomacy was used gradually to soften the mind of Lord Chaitanya.
That without asking an audience, Rāmānanda Rāya,
That without asking an audience, Rāmānanda Rāya,
I'm describing the love of King Prataprudra
describing the love of King Prataprudra
for Lord Chaitanya,
for Lord Chaitanya,
was able to soften Lord Chaitanya's attitude towards the king.
was able to soften Lord Chaitanya's attitude towards the king. Rāmānanda Rāya's plan. Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 12.45.
উৎকণ্ঠিত রাজাকে দর্শন দান জন্য প্রভুকে প্রার্থনা। উৎকণ্ঠাতে প্রতাপরুদ্র নারে রহিবারে, রামানন্দ সাধিলেন প্রভুরে মিলিবারে।
Mahārāja Prataprudra, in great anxiety, could not endure not seeing the Lord. Therefore, Sri Rāmānanda Rāya, by his diplomacy, arranged a meeting with the Lord for the king. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 12.46.
রামানন্দ প্রভু পায় কইল নিবেদন একবার প্রতাপ রুদ্রে দেখা চরণ।
Rāmānanda Rāya frankly requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please show your lotus feet to the king at least once. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 12.47.
রায়ের নিকট প্রভুর সদিচার জানজা। প্রভু কহে রামানন্দ কহ বিচারিয়া রাজাকে মিলিতে জুজায় সন্ন্যাসী হইয়া।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, my dear Rāmānanda, you should make this request after duly considering whether it is befitting for a sannyasi to meet a king. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 12.48.
রাজার মিলনে ভিক্ষুকের দুই কুলনাশ পরলোক রহুলোকে করে উপহাস।
If a mendicant meets a king, this world and the next world are both destroyed for the mendicant. Indeed, what is there to say of the next world? In this world, people will joke if a sannyasi meets a king.
So, the rules of sannyas
So,
at the time of Lord Chaitanya
the rules for sannyas at the time of Lord Chaitanya,
that sannyasi should not meet with a materialistic person.
that a sannyasi should not meet with a materialistic person.
But we say that as the language A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
So we see that His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada,
To spread the message of Lord Chaitanya,
to spread the message of Lord Chaitanya,
he met many heads of government, heads of state, different people.
He met many heads of governments, heads of states, and many people.
But Lord Chaitanya is living in a different time, place, and circumstance.
But Lord Chaitanya was living in a very different time, place, and circumstances.
And he was preoccupied with following the prevalent rules of sannyas at that time.
So he was practicing he was committed for following the rules of sannyas at that time.
So, since the role of sannyasi was very concise,
As we know, since the rules of sannyas was very concise,
he didn't want to go against that, and
he didn't want to go against that, and
he's subject to some criticism.
and which is resulted in some criticism.
Remember that Lord Chaitanya also he was criticized by the students in Navadvip.
We remember that Lord Chaitanya, as a householder, he was criticized by the students in Navadvip.
He took sannyas that people respected.
So he took sannyas so people would respect him.
He was apprehensive.
So he was apprehensive.
And if he broke the principle of sannyas, being a king,
That if he broke the rules of a sannyas by meeting a king,
he would again be subject to criticism.
he can be subjected to criticism.
That would not create a situation where people would defending him.
So that would create a situation where people would
Be offending him.
be offending him,
And want to avoid that.
and he want to avoid that.
চৈতন্য চরিতামৃত
The Leela 12.49.
প্রভুকে রায়ের বিধি নিষেধ হাতিত ঈশ্বর জ্ঞান। রামানন্দ কহে তুমি ঈশ্বর স্বতন্ত্র কারে তোমার ভয় তুমি নহ পরতন্ত্র।
Rāmānanda Rāya replied, My Lord, you are the supreme independent personality. You have nothing to fear from anyone because you are not dependent on anyone. Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 12.50.
আপনাকে বিধিবাধ্য দেখাইয়া প্রভুর ছলনা চেষ্টা। প্রভু কহে আমি মনুষ্য আশ্রমে সন্ন্যাসী, কায় মন বাক্যে ব্যবহারে ভয়বাসী।
And Rāmānanda Rāya addressed Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu objected, saying, I am not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but an ordinary human being. Therefore, I must fear public opinion in 3 ways, with my body, mind, and words.
Lord Chaitanya was following the pastime of playing like a human being.
Lord Chaitanya was following the pastime of playing like a human being.
Therefore, all these considerations are very much applicable to him.
So, therefore, all these considerations are very much applicable for him.
And he wanted to show good example others to follow.
So, he wanted to show good example for others to follow. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 12.51.
বৈধ সন্ন্যাসীর পক্ষে নিষ্কলঙ্ক আচরণ কর্তব্য। শুক্ল বস্ত্রে মসিবিন্দু জইছে না লোকায়, সন্ন্যাসীর অল্প ছিদ্র সর্বলোকে গায়।
As soon as the general public finds a little fault in the behavior of a sannyasi, they advertise it like wildfire. A black spot of ink cannot be hidden on a white cloth. It is always very prominent.
Lord Chaitanya was concerned about his reputation 500 years ago.
So Lord Chaitanya was concerned about his reputation 500 years ago.
Now, with social media, internet,
Now the social media, internet,
if one has a bad character, it will be spread like wildfire all around the world in seconds.
one, if he has a bad character, it will be spread all around the world in 1 second. Criticized in 1 second.
So, by rumors, Lord Chaitanya was worried. But then, now, how much more one has to be.
So for the rumors, Lord Chaitanya was worrying, like now, how much would happen?
How much one has to be worried now.
How much one have to be worried now? Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 12.52.
মহাপাপীর উদ্ধার হেতু ভগবত ভক্ত রাজারও প্রভু দর্শন সৌভাগ্য লাভে অবশ্যই অধিকার। রায় কহে যত পাপী করিয়াছ অব্যাহতি, ঈশ্বর সেবক তোমার ভক্ত গজপতি।
Rāmānanda Rāya replied, My dear Lord, you have delivered so many sinful people. This King Prataprudra, the king of Orissa, is actually a servitor of the Lord and your devotee.
So Rāmānanda Rāya is diplomatically presenting the actual position of King Prataprudra.
So Rāmānanda Rāya is diplomatically presenting the actual position of King Prataprudra,
That he is the devotee of the Lord,
that he is the devotee of the Lord,
that he is also a devotee of Lord Chaitanya.
and that he is also a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 12.53.
প্রভুর তথাপি রাজ দর্শনে অনিচ্ছা, প্রভু কয়ে পূর্ণ জইছে দুগ্ধের কলস, সোরা বিন্দু পাতে কেহ না করে পরশ।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said, there may be much milk in a big pot, but if it is contaminated by a drop of liquor, it is untouchable. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 12.54.
জড়ের বিষয়ী সংজ্ঞা সর্বগুণ নাশক, যদ্যপি প্রতাপরুদ্র সর্বগুণবান, তাহারে মিলন কইল এক রাজা নাম।
The king certainly possesses all good qualities, but by simply taking up the name king, he has infected everything.
So, Lord Chaitanya is
So Lord Chaitanya is
appreciating that the king may not be Mahārāja Prataprutra, may have good qualities.
that the king, that Mahārāja Prataputra may have good qualities,
But because he has the title of a king,
but because he has the title of a king,
that has ruined everything.
that has ruined everything.
I use the two examples of a black spot
So he is
and a
using
white spot.
So he is using the two example of a black spot on a white cloth
Or a drop of alcohol in a pot of milk.
and one drop of alcohol in the pot of a milk.
So, although the king had all good qualities,
So although the king have all good qualities,
but because externally he's presenting himself as a king,
because externally he is presenting himself as a king,
so he just qualified himself meeting Lord Chaitanya.
so he has disqualified himself from meeting the king, from the meeting Lord Chaitanya.
শ্রী চৈতন্য
Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 12.55.
অবশেষে রায়ের আগ্রহে প্রভু রাজপুত্র সহ মিলিতে ইচ্ছা, তথাপি তোমার যদি মহাগ্রহ হয়, তবে আনি মিলাহ তুমি তাহারও তা নয়।
But if you are still very eager for the king to meet with me, please bring his son. Please first bring his son to meet me. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 12.56.
পিতা ও পুত্রের দৈহিক ধাতুগত অভেদ, আত্মা বৈ জয়াতে পুত্র, এই শাস্ত্রবাণী, পুত্রের মিলনে যেন মিলিবে আপনি।
It is indicated in the revealed scripture that the son represents the father. Therefore, the son's meeting with me would be just as good as the king's meeting with me.
Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had devised the means to mercy the king without endangering his good reputation.
So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has decided to give his mercy to the king without endangering his reputation. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.78.36 it is stated, Atma vai putra utpanna iti Vedanusashanam. The Vedas enjoin that one is born as his own son. The son is non-different from the father, and this is admitted in every revealed scripture. In the Christian theology, it is believed that Christ, the Son of God, is also God, or in other words, that they are identical.
Let's see how Srila Prabhupada is universal in his understanding.
So we can see how Srila Prabhupada is universal in his understanding.
How he has such respect for different scriptures.
How he has such respect for different scriptures. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 12.57
রাজাকে রায়ের প্রভুর কৃপা সংবাদ যাপন, রাজপুত্রকে প্রভু সমীপে আনায়ন। রায় যায় সব রাজারে কহিলা, প্রভুর আজ্ঞায় তার পুত্র লইয়া আইলা।
Rāmānanda Rāya then went to inform the king about his talks with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and following the Lord's order, brought the king's son to see him.
This way we see how King Prataprudra
So in this way we see how the king Prataprudra
got many mercies, many signs of mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
he had many signs of mercy from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
He sent his external cloth, used cloth to him.
He sent his external used cloth to him,
Now, meeting his son.
and now he is meeting his son.
So many ways he gave the Lord mercy.
So in some ways he is giving the king his mercy.
At the same time, the desire for the king to meet the Lord is increasing day by day.
At the same time, the desire for the king to meet the Lord increasing day by day.
So that he doesn't completely get frustration.
So with that he doesn't completely get frustration.
Lord giving a little mercy to him.
So the Lord is giving him little mercy to him. Thus ends the chapter entitled, Lord Chaitanya tells Rāmānanda Rāya to bring the king's son.
Do you like our ad-free videos? Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.